Okay.
Yes. Trade secret law is well developed in America for obvious reasons. To acquire a patent requires that one expose one's knowledge to the world, and at the expiration of the patent, anyone in the world may make use of that knowledge. So trade secret and know-how are both protected in American legal system. How are they protected? Might be the next question. They are not protected by any federal legislation in America. America has a federal governmental system, a federal government of relatively limited powers, state governments with all residual governmental powers. Protection of trade secrets and know-how are both protected in 38 of our 50 states by something called the Uniform Trade Secrets Act, adopted at the state level, but nonetheless in a uniform form in 38 of our states. A few of our states go even further and make theft of trade secrets, including know-how, a criminal offense. But even those states which have not adopted our Uniform Trade Secrets Act have their own trade secrets legislation. This presents some difficulties, of course, to an American or international lawyer dealing with the issue of trade secrets, because there are 50 separate state jurisdictions in America, each of which, even though 38 have the same law, may be interpreted slightly differently. If you look at the Uniform Trade Secrets Act itself, which is the easiest way to have access to this body of law, you will find, of course, a definition of trade secrets. And that definition of trade secrets is very broad. It includes what formally might be known as a trade secret process, and also dynamic things like techniques and know-how. So all of that is subject to protection at the state level in America, and it's all part, I believe, should be at least a portion of our first year curriculum, but it requires, of course, an advanced study if one is to pursue that in the context of American law. Did I answer your question?
And the second question, do you think it's where, when you get the patent permission, you didn't execute your implementation that patent. That's where? What?
Two things here. I'm a bit a fish out of water because the field of intellectual property is not my field of scholarship. I am, along with others here, my field of scholarship for those who might be interested is contracts, commercial transactions, including international business transactions. However, if technical questions about American patent law, I would refer to our sponsor here, Mei Shen Wang, who knows far more about the technicalities of American patent law than do I. So perhaps after our discussion here, you could raise that question with her. And I apologize for my own ignorance. It has been exposed for all to see, and I should have made clearer before I began to speak the limits of what my knowledge are, but you have reached the depths of it. Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
There's a question, and there's always a debate about intellectual property protection. So I have a question to Professor Singh and also for Professor Arora. It's about how we balance the protection between the IPR and also let the human culture, the human knowledge develop in terms of economic week. What I mean is that, for example, students don't have much money to buy legally protected product, so they tend to valid law quite a lot. And also in a developing country, the people have the urge to learn knowledge, especially when the internet is so prevalent. They want to gain something better free than pay. So as the international the intellectual property right develop and the new technology try to protect those rights, like the digital digital rights management develop so well. And how do you see this question? That we want the human knowledge to develop, but also we want something.
I think first of all I need to understand the question really. I make the statement of your question. If that's correct, I understood. I'll try to reply.
You mean to say you're asking me a question to seek balance between the interests of the intellectual property holders and the interests of the society on the side to access the knowledge? Now this is a very important question, which is just near my heart. I draw a parallel of IPR or connection or nexus of IPR with the mode of production. IPR is a regime which emerges out of the capitalist mode of production. And the strength of IPR regime is directly proportional to the level of capitalist mode of production. Therefore, it raises serious questions when the countries are forced to go for a uniform agreement in TRIPS. Countries having different economic systems, countries whose constitution doesn't support the privatization of knowledge, but support the socialization of knowledge. How come they can be compelled if I agree with Pryor when he makes the reference to his constitution to support his law? So other countries also has an obligation to support any law only with reference to their constitution. Therefore, it is immoral to make all countries to agree on uniform structure of TRIPS. It is immoral. It is not acceptable to me, and it should not be acceptable to countries. And since the constraints of levels of and the kinds of productive relations accepted by the countries will dictate the kind of legislation they have to make. For that reason, I justify what the China is doing. China's mode of production is not the kind of mode of production the USA has. I think they have committed to the constitution to socialize the knowledge. So if they socialize the knowledge and you say this is piracy, this is not piracy, they are socializing the knowledge. So this conflict goes on because the seed lies basically in the conflict of the option of the economic system they are subscribing to that. So basically the TRIPS or the intellectual property regimes are the regimes of the outcome of capitalist mode of production. So this is, I think I answered your first question. What is the second question?
I think it's the same. So now we have a new technology to protect IP rights, but it's in some way it will hinder people to get more knowledge. And I think there is a hidden agenda behind IPR, that you want the human culture to be delivered generation after generation. So now we use this technology to protect or stop people to gain more knowledge from this. So what's your opinion about this? Can you try to strike a balance?
If I understood your question, there is a technology coming in to protect the IPR.
Right.
I hope a converse technology shall also be coming. How not to protect the IPR and try to socialize that. I think some of the teams in some of the countries they are working on that. I am aware of one of the teams working on this question in China. And and I am in contact. I appreciate their efforts.